Hey everyone, this is Nitreg from nitreg.com, and today I'm going to be doing a 50 NL Euro table hand history review. I just started school back doing some classes. I got 4 classes this semester, nothing too hard, but it's going to take some of my time. So be prepared to see a lot more hand history reviews. Hand history reviews for me are pretty relatively fast to make. I just go ahead and record a hand history for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, and then just upload it to YouTube. So these are relatively easy for me to make. So if I have a busy day, you're gonna be seeing a lot of hand histories come out. I'm trying to continue keeping up as much content as I've been pumping out, like maybe like a video and a post every day, or maybe every other day. I think the latest I've ever done something was I waited like 2 days of no posting before I posted another post. So I've been keeping a pretty consistent pace with this site, my blog. So I've been pretty happy with my results so far. Anyway, let's get on to this hand history. I think it's kind of an interesting hand. It's one of those. It's one of those hands where I think you have to think about your villain's range and then focus on the way to get maximum EV out of it. If you guys haven't already, check out my video on why you're betting, because that is going to be very relevant in this hand. And I'll go ahead and link to that as well. So anyway, I have 10 Jack offsuit in the cutoff. I think this is a pretty standard open. So I go ahead and open, and a 58-16 player calls, and don't think I have any hands in him. Nope. Or notes, I mean. Don't have any notes in him. So he goes ahead and calls. The 2 Regish type players go ahead and fold in the blinds. Flop is 8 of diamonds, 10 of clubs, 7 of diamonds. So I've got a gut shot and top pair and an okay kicker. So on this type of board, we got to think about this guy's range. This guy is going to have a lot of everything. He's going to have 58% of his range is ridiculous. So let me actually bring that up for you guys real quick. In Poker Stove, here we go, found it. Okay, so let's just to give you an idea, like you guys should be doing this as well, because this is very, very good for understanding poker. He's probably going to have 2s in his range. Let's go ahead, since he 3-bets 7.1%, let's go ahead and remove the top 7.1% of hands. So we're going to get his range about to 51%. Let's just say he has a couple of random bluffs in there. So let's just say his ace 3 and king 9 offsuit or something. I don't know. I mean, it's not a big sample size or whatever. So let's just say this is good for now. So now we got to get back up to 58% because we took the top 7% out of his range since he 3-bets that. And so since we took out some good hands and maybe a couple random bluffs, let me just go ahead and add king 9 back. I'll just leave ace 3 suit in there. So let's go ahead and add another 5% to his range. Not really sure. Let's just say he'll call 10s, hand like 10 some of the time. 7-6, 5-6, 8-6. I don't know. There's it's such a wide range. Let's just say it's like this, and with fish they're going to be calling a ton of hands, so this is going to be pretty accurate. So I'll go ahead and leave maybe a couple of suited hands, and maybe take off a couple of these offsuit junk. Okay, so this is 56%, so it's 2% less than what it says, but it's a small sample size. Let's just assume he's slightly he has a slightly narrower hand range than what's showing right now, over 45 hands. So as you can see, a lot of these hands are either going to be like, one big, one small, like ace 4, king 6, queen 5 suited. So he's probably going to fold out all of these hands on this board. Let me go ahead and flip this back. 7, 8, 10. He's going to be folding all those. He's pretty much just going to be calling all his middle cards, which there are a lot of. So let's go ahead and just kind of show what percentage of hands go ahead and call. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove all these. Oh, he has ace 10, so ace 10, ace 9, ace 8, ace 7. Probably calls with these. Probably not jack 7, jack 8, jack 9, jack 10. So I'm just going to go ahead and start removing all these here. 5, 6, 7, 8. He might call with some of these. Basically, as you can see, like, we're just taking off a lot of his range. Now, we can go through and figure out exactly which hands he's probably going to call with, which hands he's going to fold. But essentially, it's going to come out to this middle group of cards. So I'm going to say maybe like half of his range folds this flop, but I think half to maybe like 65%, somewhere in that area, is just going to go ahead and peel this flop. And if you consider how many times you have diamonds too, or like maybe like a backdoor club and some sort of gut shot or something random like that. Oop, just realized I took that off the screen. He's going to have quite a bit of hands in his range that's going to call these types of boards, like 60 or 70%. So against a guy that's calling with such a wide range, this board really sucks to c-bet unless you're specifically c-betting for value. So as I said in my Why Am I Betting seminar that I did, or I guess it wasn't a seminar, it was just a presentation, you should either be betting for value or as a bluff. Now here, we're going to be never bluffing, and he's probably not going to even realize that, but we should just never be bluffing on these types of boards. I guess we could semi-bluff if we have a ton of equity, but that's just because we have a ton of equity, and we just need just the smallest bit of fold equity to make it a profitable c-bet. But we're pretty much only value betting these boards. So top pair on this board is going to be the nuts against this guy. This guy's going to peel a super wide range. So what do I go ahead and do? I c-bet, and I c-bet really big too, just because he's a fish and he calls with a very wide range. So he goes ahead and calls, which I kind of figured he would. And the turn is a blank. It's a pretty good card for me. So I'm just continuing putting him down the value train. I bet $8, and he goes ahead and calls. And I probably could have bet a little bit bigger on the turn just to set up stacks a little bit better. But it's still a pot size bet. I just hate when it's like a huge pot size bet instead of like, a 90% bet or something. I just think maybe subconsciously it might be a little bit of a difference. So the 4 of hearts rolls off, which is like the best card ever. It's the blankest of blanks. So right here, I have the option of shoving all in or checking. And I guess I can't open fold because that's ridiculous. So checking or shoving all in. Now, if I shove all in, I don't really think I'm going to be called by a 7 at all. Sometimes I might get called by an 8 if he just thinks I'm full of it and is going with it. Sometimes fish do that, but that's going to be a very low percentage. If he has a set or a 2 pair, which I don't think he has because he would have raised at some point since the board is so wet, so be it. He takes all my money. But again, that's really low percentage because he would probably raise the flop return given how wet the board is, and fish don't like to get sucked out on with their huge hands. So I think a lot of his range by the time we get to the river is going to be like flush draws, pair plus open-ended straight draws, some better tens, maybe like an 8. I think since he's a loose passive player, he's not going to be betting a 10 that much for value unless it's like ace 10 or maybe king 10. He might bet those, he might not. I'm not really sure with this guy, but loose passives generally don't, unlike scary boards, they generally don't like to bet. They're very passive. He's definitely not going to be betting an 8, I don't think, unless he turns it into a bluff. So he's probably not going to be betting for value here unless he has the very top of his top pair range, and then only then maybe he would be betting. So I think also his calling range consists of, if I shove right here, his calling range would consist of pretty much like 10x random slow played overpairs, and maybe every once in a while like a skeptical 8, like an ace 8 or something goofy, like ace 8 of clubs. But that's going to be kind of rare. So considering the 10x is most of his range, my 10 is not really that good because it's a jack kicker. The only thing I beat really is like 10-9, and I split with 10 jack, and every other 10 beats me, unless he for some reason happens to have like 10-6 suited in his range or something like that. But I kind of, that's kind of like optimistic. I think a majority of the 10s in his range are going to be beating me. So considering his range, I'm probably ahead most of the time. Given his range of 10x in his hands, if I shove, which is going to be the majority of his calling range, is going to be 10x. A majority of the 10x's are going to be beating me. But he's going to fold quite a bit, and he might once in a while call with an 8x or a 10-9, and I'll win all this money. So I decided here that maybe checking, if I bet for value is with the intention of getting called by a worse hand. There's not that many worse hands that I think will call me on the river. Now, if I check, he's going to have a lot of bluffs in his range. He's going to have a lot of missed draws, stuff like that. And if this guy, specifically this guy bets, it's probably going to be a really polarized range. It's probably going to be a really nutted hand, like a set or two pair, or it's going to be a bluff. He might be betting like the top of his 10x range, like ace 10, king 10, something like that sometimes. But since I don't think he has two pair or a set, he's it's good for me, because he would have raised on the flop or the turn. I think a majority of his range is just going to be like air. And he might have some 10x here and there that he might just check back, which I'm probably not going to really get too much value from anyway, unless he specifically has 10-9. So I decided to check here and then call off a shove. I think that given this guy's range and how loose passive he is, he's loose passive pre-flop, but then he's capable of betting post-flop. His aggression frequency is 2.4, so I decided to just call it off. If his aggression frequency over large sample was like 0.7, I'm not doing this play. Just I don't know. I might consider it, but like I would play him differently. I just think over this guy's sample that I have on this guy, he seems kind of like loose passive guy with a wide range that has a potential of being spazzy. So I go ahead and check, and he shoves all in, and I snap call, and he ends up showing 7-9. So it was interesting. He turned a very weak, marginally made hand into a bluff. If I were him, I would have probably just I would have probably raised the flop. And as he played it, I wouldn't have shoved all in on the river because it's kind of like a check call line. It looks just like a check call line for me, or a line where I just completely whiffed with like diamonds or like Jack Queen or something like that. So it's just one of those spots where you can show down the third pair and probably be good. And then the rest of my range is just me bluff catching him. So I ended up bluff catching him, and it worked out pretty well. But I think this hand's a good example of how you can use the concepts that I showed you in the When Should I C-Bet video, and use them to gain the max value. We got a guy's entire stack when he had third pair, so I think that's a very important concept. And just think about it at the tables. Don't fall into like fancy play syndrome or anything, but just stick with betting primarily. But then a couple of times here and there, you can consider doing some other stuff. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. Be sure to check out nitreg.com and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/nitregpoker. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more awesome videos from me. Alright guys, this is Nitreg from nitreg.com. See you guys later.